I think you are all muted now, or Katie, are you muting folks? Yes, you did. Thank you. Okay, so welcome to the last Yoga for Healthy Aging. At the end of class, I'll talk about a little bit about what else is being offered and when the next meal is and all of that. But I thought I'd get right into class for now. If you're just signing on and you didn't hear me before or see Katie's page, you're gonna need about 3 feet of wall space today. And I'm going to take a look on gallery view. Is there anyone who does not have about 3 feet of wall space available? If there's a lot of you, I just won't do it. Anyone who, a lot of you have hidden your videos, so I can't tell. It's really helpful for me as a teacher if you could unblock your videos. So could I see it just by show of hands again, who does not have that available? Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Okay, there are a few of you. All right, never mind. We won't do the 3 feet of wall space. We'll do something simpler with about 1.5 feet. So, I will just mention that I will try to speak up today. I know a couple of people were having trouble last week, and I am looking into getting a mic for the next session. So I will do my best to speak loudly, but please do adjust your volume if you're able to do that to make sure that you're on maximum volume from your end. And I'm going to start right away with our last reading. We've been talking over the past weeks about the tools available to us that are really important in Yoga for Healthy Aging, and those so far have been, of course, the poses, also the breath, meditation, and today I want to talk about yoga philosophy. And this one is pretty directly relevant because it was written during the pandemic and it's about the pandemic. So this author who blogs is one of the co-authors of the book Yoga for Healthy Aging. And she has a fairly long introduction about a friend of hers whose plans were interrupted. I'll just say that. I won't go into the whole story about what it was, but someone who had been planning something for a long time. And because of the pandemic, as many of us are finding in our lives, we can't do what we had planned to do, either this summer or just in a day-to-day life. And she says, I realize that one way
and I can't hear.
Another, all experience our plans and they can end.
You're frozen and we can't, you're breaking up.
I'm sorry?
You're breaking up and you're frozen. I couldn't hear any of that.
Who said that?
Patty.
Okay, who's having trouble hearing me? How many are having trouble hearing me?
I am.
Sorry, I don't know what's going on. A lot of you are having trouble now. Katie, are you still on?
I'm here. So Jean, maybe while you're reading, turn off your video to save your bandwidth. That's the other thing.
It must be my internet.
Yeah. And it may also be too with everybody with their videos on, right. It may reduce bandwidth too. I don't know. But while you read,
I'm going to stop my video. I'll stop my video just while I'm reading, and then I'll put it on and hope things are better. Yeah. So you'll not see me for a moment while I finish reading. So, hoping this is better. One way or another, we're all experiencing the same dilemma right now. We've had to scrap our plans. Although I hear some people talking about various silver linings, that's not a phrase I like to use. I don't like to use that either. From my point of view, there's nothing good about what's been happening these days. One of the basic principles of yoga is that change and uncertainty are intrinsic aspects of life. Change is intrinsic. The material world, which includes your body, mind, as well as other beings and other objects, is by its very nature always changing. The pandemic is teaching us this lesson. Although some are in denial and just want to act as if everything is still the same as it used to be, most of us realize that, like it or not, the world and our lives have been forever altered by this pandemic. It's not easy, of course, but accepting the truth that the world is impermanent is the first step to finding equanimity. Refusing to accept this truth only increases our suffering because we'll always be angry, frustrated, depressed that things aren't the same as they were. From this basic acceptance that change is inevitable, that life is ever changing, brings the possibility of liberation from the suffering associated with the world. How can you achieve this depends on the particular yoga that you choose to follow. But even if you decide not to go further than this, accepting impermanence can allow you to navigate with greater ease through challenges of difficult times. So I'm hoping that you could hear that. Thumbs up if you could hear. I'm getting a few thumbs up. Okay, that's better. Good, good. So we can free ourselves from some inevitable suffering if we're not overly attached to the idea of, oh, why can't it be the way it used to be? That's, to me, the essence of what that was all about. I have to have my video on to do the yoga part of the class, the physical part. I will try to speak up, but I think it's my internet connection. So I'll try as best you can, just follow me from the visual if you can't hear me. And I apologize, but we're all dealing with technical issues these days, electrical technical issues. So please come back to sit either on the floor or on your chair. And let's just take a few moments of silence. Focusing on whatever it is you choose today. It could be your breath, could be a physical sensation, it could be what we used last week, the touch of the breath at the nostrils, whatever brings you into a state of focus and concentration. Drawing your hands, please, together at your heart center. Gently pressing the palms together, find a little bit more lift. We'll start with 3 ohms, breathing it in. exhaling, replace hands to lap and come forward towards the front of your chair. I did hear somebody oming, which was really nice for me to hear someone joining in the chant, but that also means you're not muted. So if you, and we're going to begin very simply in our chairs with what's known as cat-cow stretches. So I'll demonstrate from the side, but you don't have to turn to the side. So in a cat-cow stretch, hands can be on the lap, and we're simply lifting the sternum, drawing the shoulders back, bringing a little curve into the back of the neck, little arc of the spine. Exhaling, engage abdominals, come back to upright. Inhaling, bring those shoulders back, lift the heart forward, and exhaling, come to upright. We'll do it a few more times. Some of you on the exhale may choose to also round. This is a time when rounding is okay and might feel good. That's if you don't have any of those bone or back issues that we've talked about. So inhaling, perhaps coming into a full exhalation with rounding. Inhaling. And some of you are just coming directly upright. So you choose, a few more rounds. Coming back to upright now, pause. You're in seated mountain, your knees are directly over your ankles. Those knees are directly forward, they're not relaxing too much outward. Or if you're on the floor, your legs are crossed. And we're going to use belts. If you don't have a belt, that's fine. You can do it without the belt. And please place the belt over your left shoulder. Lift the left arm up. Bend at the elbow. Opposite arm comes atop the elbow point and you're drawing in. Feeling that long stretch. Either staying here or you're going to take that other arm, bring it down back behind you, take hold of the strap with two hands. So hope you can see me. Both hands on the strap. Pulling one elbow up, the other elbow down. And your hands might be fairly close together or they're farther apart. Depends on you, depends on your shoulders and how you're experiencing the stretch. Release, bring both arms out into a T, and let's simply bring that strap over to the second side. We'll take the stretch on the other side, lifting right arm up, bending at the elbow, placing opposite hand atop the elbow, and drawing in. Releasing that hand, bringing it down back behind you, taking hold of the strap with both hands. One elbow up, other elbow reaching down. breathing. This can be a fairly intense stretch, so make sure that you're not making it too intense and that your breath is still very much a focus. And release, bring those arms out. Bring your hands together to your heart center. Close your eyes for a moment and pause. Notice. Taking your strap off your shoulder. For those of us in chairs, we're simply going to come to stand, and that's done with the hinging forward with a long spine. Taking a nice full breath in as you exhale. Sweep the arms up, come to arms overhead pose. Exhaling, release the arms down alongside your body. Stand up tall in mountain pose. Make sure your shoulders aren't hunched up. Let there be space between ears and shoulders. Arms long but relaxed. Of course, the challenge of mountain is not the physical posture, it's the stillness. And releasing from mountain, let's come to stand behind our chairs. If you're using a chair, you don't have to. It might help a little bit with balance. Draw your hands, please, together at your heart center. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling, sweep the arms down. Come into chair pose, sitting back. Lengthen legs, lengthen spine. And bend knees, sweep those arms back up. Exhaling, hands to heart. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhaling, lift. You can lift your gaze a little as well. That might feel good. Exhaling, sit back. Lengthen. Bend. Inhale. Exhale. 1 more time. Inhaling here. Exhaling. And anyone who would like to take a deeper forward bend, feel free to do that. You can come to your shins or to the floor, and we're going to hold. So wherever that is for you, it might be at the chair. It might be a deeper. Deeper isn't always good, so don't force it. Pausing in your forward bend. Everyone now, wherever you are, bending the knees, arms sweep up. Exhaling, hands come back down to the heart center and release your arms alongside your body. We're going to take just a brief stretch at the wall, so you won't need a big 3-foot expanse, you'll just need about a foot or so. I'll turn my camera so you can see. I'm going to be at this wall. And we're going to take a high-armed version of downward facing dog. So what that looks like, hands directly in front of you initially, and then walk them up the wall, above your shoulders. Step your feet back, hips back, and find your high-armed downward facing dog. Arms are framing the ears and arms are straight. Really thinking about pressing those hips back in space as the hands press into the wall. Straight arms. Yeah, it looks like most of you have that wall space. And if you don't, that's fine. You can do a dog at the chair or on the floor. And releasing from your high arm dog. We're going to step forward just a little bit and bring forearms now to the wall. So your elbows are in line with your shoulders at the wall. And you're releasing your hips towards the wall, gazing up, coming into a little forearm version of a back bend. And this might look familiar. It's very much like what we do on the floor, Sphinx pose. For those of you who would like to add a little bit, you can come up on your tiptoes and do the same thing. And release, heels back down to the ground. Arms alongside the body, mountain pose again. Come on back to your chair. If you're using it, you may not be using it today. And we'll start to work a little bit more on our standing poses. So bringing your left foot forward between the legs of the chair, opposite foot steps back, and we're turning hips away from the chair. Placing the hand on the chair, or if you're not using it, that's fine. Coming into a side tilt. Inhaling up. Exhaling side tilt. Inhaling now. Exhaling side tilt. Hold in triangle pose, however you're assuming your triangle pose today. That could be with one hand on the leg, or maybe you're using the chair for a little support. Breathe. Come on all the way back up to upright. Now we're going to turn the hips towards the chair, and that back foot is turning in a little bit more, and maybe stepping a bit closer. From this position, we're going to take this would be your right hand, and cross it over to the other side of the chair, hand on hip, bring forearm down and twist, elbow back. If you would like to, arm can move back as well. Make sure that back heel is planted down. And for those who weren't using the chair, that's fine. You can bring your hand to the outside of the thigh. Unwind. Ooh, come back to upright. And step the back foot forward. Find mountain for a breath or two. Second side. So now your right foot comes forward. Left foot steps back. It's a healthy distance. And we'll come into triangle first. So hips not facing, but towards the long end of the mat. Little side tilt over. Inhale up. Side tilting now. Inhaling up. One more side tilt. And we'll hold triangle pose, side tilting, either finding support of the chair or arm alongside leg, lifting opposite arm. If anyone feels comfortable turning the head up, feel free to do that. I like to keep mine in neutral. And inhale, come all the way up. Nice, let's leave that front foot where it is, but we're turning the back. Sorry, folks. My internet must be very unstable today. I hope many of you are still with me.
Yeah, had to get back
Okay.
on.
We just
Yeah.
got back in.
Yeah, I don't know if that was my internet or if that happened to most of you.
Yeah, it did happen to me.
Huh.
Okay,
It
so I
did.
don't know what that was all about, but
Yeah.
hey, yoga's all about yoga's about impermanence, right? That's our lesson
Right.
today. Not
Yeah.
being attached to what we think needs to happen. I'm going to mute you all. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, let's continue where we were, I think. We had done triangle, so we were just turning back towards the chair, hips towards the chair. And from here, let's bring that outside hand down to the chair. You can then release, forearm to the top of the chair. Other arm moves back as you twist. Twisting, extending the arm. You can also have the hand on the hip. So whichever is better for you. Unwinding. Bring yourself back up to upright. Step your back foot forward. Both feet in alignment with one another, mountain pose. This is a good place to be practicing stillness after that technical interruption. Can we focus on stillness, be in our yoga, not worrying about the technology? Nice. I can see many of you. And stepping away from the chair. Thank you. Somebody gave me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. Okay. Yes. We're back. Yay. Okay. Let's come on down to hands and knees. Feel free to take your blanket if you would like to. For most of us, that's going to feel good under the knees to have a little padding. And you can use the chair any way that you can comfortably get down to hands and knees. Find table pose, please. Hands directly under shoulders, fingers spread wide. And we'll take those cat-cow stretches from the floor. So just like what we did in the chair, first finding neutral, table pose, and then lifting the sits bones, arcing the spine, gazing a little bit up, exhaling either to neutral, you know who needs to stay in neutral, osteoporosis, disc injury people, or coming into the rounding. Inhaling, find your arc. Exhaling. Inhaling now. And exhaling. A few more times with your breath. And finding neutral again. We are going to come into downward facing dog today. So if you're not a person who likes doing dog on the floor, come on back and do it on the chair. Your choice. People on the floor, walk your hands a little bit more forward. Tuck your toes, inhale. On your exhalation, lift your hips back. Press your hands into the floor and lengthen your spine. I recommend keeping the knees bent initially. We'll just take a breath or two here and then release softly, coming back down to your knees, finding neutral. Exhaling again, your second down dog today. And you can lengthen your legs and see how that feels for you. You can pedal one heel and the other heel to the ground. For those of you who might be standing, the same thing can be happening. Everyone on the floor coming down to hands and knees again. You're in the chair. Soften your knees, walk yourself forward. And we're going to do it just one more time, but let's take a little bit of a break. You're either standing in mountain on your feet, or if you're already on the mat, you can stand on your shins, but finding mountain on your shins. Finding that stillness, reconnecting with breath. And one more dog for today. So bringing those hands down again. And this dog will be stillness. Tucking toes, inhale, exhale, choose bent knees or straight legs. Breathe. Of course, come down at any time. If you haven't already, please do come on down to the floor or come to stand upright, and we're all going to stand upright again. So we'll be doing one more set of poses from standing. So make your way back up to upright. And you may want a blanket on your chair seat, maybe not. I'll show you where we're going with this, and you can judge for yourself what props you might need. So this is going to be Warrior 3, a little variation, and it looks like this. I'll just go very quickly so you can judge. You're going to stand on your forward leg. You're going to have your hands on your chair, and you're going to slide them down. Heart forward, leg a little bit off the earth. Take a little balance here, maybe just with one arm, and that'll be the first round. The second round will be going deeper if you would like to. So the second round, sliding, sliding, sliding down, maybe hands to the chair seat, one long line from crown to heel, lift one arm, very challenging, whoa, to lift both arms and release. So let's take that all together. Bringing first, the left foot forward, opposite foot is back, and those toes are directly forward. So you can see now I'm right between, my weight is right between my 2 feet. Let's bring that weight forward onto the forward leg. And maybe your Warrior 3 is remaining with the foot on the floor. for those of you who would like to lift, lifting the leg, hinging forward, one long line. Let's all stop here. Some of you may go deeper in a moment. Lifting one arm. How does that feel? Maybe that's plenty. If you'd like to lift the other arm, experiment with that, feel free. Warrior 3 is a very strong pose, so be gentle with yourself. Release the arm down. Release the foot down, come to upright, and both feet come forward. Pause. Let's come to the other side. So I'm sure you all have heard me say balance poses, and Warrior 3 is a balance pose. Don't have to be perfect. You can absolutely come in and out of it. So opposite side. Right foot now forward, left foot steps back, and initially your weight is kind of between the 2 feet. And now feel that shift of the weight forward. Hands on the chair, just that little lift of the back leg. One arm is lifting. Maybe the other arm lifts. Maybe neither. You choose. Your practice, your way. And release, arms down, foot back down. Come to upright. And we'll go either back to that version of the pose, or maybe some of you will choose to go a little deeper. Foot comes back, sliding hands down. Just be careful that when you come a little deeper, if you are, it's not, oh, deeper here. My leg is down, but oh, look at this, my body is released. So one long line, lifting one arm, maybe the other arm. And let it be a little bit playful. You can release for a minute. You might need to take a break. And release. Come all the way back up to upright. Ah, mountain pose. We are going to come on down to the floor again. But this time, we're coming down to our bellies. So again, let me demonstrate first so you don't have to worry about looking once you get down there. So our first pose will be exactly what we did at the wall. Sphinx pose, I think you all know this. The next pose is a version of locust pose. Arms forward, one leg lifts, other arm lifts, opposite leg and arm. We'll do that on the other side, and we'll go back and forth a few times. The final pose will be legs and arms lifted. It's a big, strong pose. I prefer having my arms alongside my body. Anybody with low back issues might benefit more from this position. So, now that you've seen, come on down to your bellies. Take your time, no need to be in a hurry. And forehead down onto the earth. Arms are forward in Superman pose. Imagine Superman. Keeping the forehead down for a moment, lift the left leg. Lift the right arm, lift the head. Feel the length. And release, soften down. Lift the right leg in one length from hip to toes. Lift the opposite arm. And release. We'll go back and forth a few times. First side. Release. Second side. Release. We're inhaling as we lift. Exhaling to release. Second side, last time. Lift, inhale. Exhale, release. And here's the hold, so you choose. For strong backs, arms can stay forward. Others may prefer bringing arms back alongside the body. Lift legs, lift arms, lift chest, neck, head gaze. Breathe. Exhaling, release. Fold your arms, let your forehead rest. And importantly, let your legs relax. You might want to swivel your hips back and forth a bit. Notice what you're feeling. Is there any tension in your low back? Can you send the idea of breath to any area where you're experiencing tension? And breathe. Feel that fullness of the inhalation and the complete exhalation. Rolling over now onto your back. You will need your belt. So grab your belt if it's within reach. And take a look before you come down. I'll do this very quickly. I think it's familiar to most of you. I'll do it standing. So imagine the wall is my floor. We're going to loop, strap around ball mounds. We'll go long. And let's draw in and extend a few times. So we'll do this with the pace of the breath. And then we'll pause. We'll bring both sides of the strap into one hand, arm out in a T position, come back, and we'll do the full twist this time. So you'll turn and come into a stretch on the other side. And I think it's actually easier if I talk you through it, rather than having you watch me do it in a different position. So come on down to your backs. You can loop the ball mound, loop the belt around the ball mound of let's all be on the same foot, the right foot first. And extend that leg up long, feel the length. And then bend the knee. Thigh towards chest, bend the knee. Good, I'm glad most of you can hear me. I see most people doing that. Inhaling, get long. And exhaling, bend the knee, thigh towards chest. And one more time, get long. Lengthen the leg. Arms are long on the strap, if that's possible for you. Taking now both sides of the strap in your right hand, if it's your right leg, or left hand if it's your left leg, and letting that leg fall open to the right, or the left for left legs. And pause. Try not to overstretch. Don't go too far towards the floor. We want both hips to be well grounded. And have that left leg in a distinct position, the opposite leg. It's either bent or lengthened. Yes, Janice, good adjustment. Bring that leg back up to upright. Take both sides of the strap now in the opposite hand, and you're going to actually roll on over to the opposite hip. For most of us, that's the left hip. Opposite arm can come into a T position. Yeah, Patty, you might try extending that opposite leg, as I just saw you do. Great. And eyes can be up towards the sky, or you can turn your head to look over your opposite shoulder. This one is tough. I see at least one person standing. I'm sure there are more of you. Many of you are blocked. This one's a little tougher to adapt to standing, but if you are standing, you could bring that leg across and arm out to the side. And come all the way up with that leg, bend the knee, and let's take the belt off the foot and bring it to the other side. So looping it around, for most of us, it'll be the left leg. Extending that leg long. And exhaling, bend the knee, thigh comes towards your chest. Thigh towards chest as you exhale. Inhaling, lengthen the leg. And just do that a few more times, bending and lengthening with your breath. The next time you lengthen the leg, pause, arms long on the strap. Opposite leg, the right leg can be bent or lengthened. And now taking both sides of the strap in your left hand, let that left leg fall open to the left, stretching the inner thigh. Keeping the right leg very much involved in the pose, either by bending the knee and planting the sole of the foot, or, as many of you have, extending the leg long and keeping it firm. Focusing on your breath. Bring that leg all the way back up to upright, and both hands opposite hand takes the strap, rolling over onto that hip. Let the leg come towards the floor. Arm out in a T position. You might be feeling a pretty distinct stretch in the outside of the hip. That's where we're going with this. Eyes up towards the sky or turning over opposite shoulder. Inhaling, bringing that leg back up to upright. Bending the knees so that you can take the strap off. And we'll end today with a flowing bridge. So this is a great way to loosen up the back without too much strain. Bend your knees. Have the kneecaps facing up towards the ceiling. And arms are initially alongside the body. Simply working the arms. Inhale, lift the arms back, frame the ears. Exhaling, release the arms back down. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling to release. Inhaling, lift one more time, just the arms. Slowing down the pace and the intensity of the movement. This time as you lift the arms, also lift the hips. If you're on the chair, this is more challenging, but you can lift the hips. And exhaling, release hips, release arms. Let's do that a few more times. Lifting hips, lifting arms at the same time. And just enjoy the flow for a few more cycles. The next time you lift the hips, keep them elevated, but release arms alongside the body and take a stable bridge pose. For those of you who are familiar with the interlace of hands behind back, feel free to add that. A nice thing to do if you don't take the interlace is to actually grab the edges of your mat and pull the mat away from your hips down towards your heels, if that makes sense. And pause, breathe, be in the pose. If you don't have any issues with your knees, ideally the placement of the heels is right under the knees. I see that some of you could bring those feet in a little closer. Yes, good adjustments. And exhaling, soften back down, bringing the hips down to the earth. Separate the feet as wide as the mat. The knees are still bent. Your feet are just going a little wider. And we're just going to take some knee sways, kind of like windshield wipers. Knees sway over to one side and then to the other. Do that a few times. Arms can be in a T position. It might feel very nice and open. Just back and forth. You can either continue to move back and forth or pause with the knees down on one side. It's a little gentle twist. If you've paused, bring the knees up over to the other side. Pause on the other side as well. And bringing those knees back up to upright. Situate yourself for relaxation. I think everyone knows what feels best for them. Blanket roll. You can have calves on a height, or you can simply extend your legs long. Let them relax. For most of us, when we relax the legs, the toes will turn out slightly. Let that happen. Ideally, the knees are supported by something. They're not just bent unsupported, because that hampers relaxation a bit. We want everything to be supported. Arms alongside the body or resting on the belly if you like that feeling. And we'll simply take some nice full breaths before we find our relaxation. Full breaths not necessarily meaning deep and long, but coming from a deep place in the body. So there should be no strain with our deep breathing. Inhaling, feeling the breath originate from a deep place in the body, down and below the belly. Belly expands, exhaling. Release the breath completely. Inhaling, let the breathing originate from that deep place in the body. Rib cage expands. Exhaling, release the breath completely. One more time with my voice. Breathing in, rib cage expands. Exhaling, breathing out, everything releases. You can continue a few more times on your own without my voice, focusing on that fullness of the breath without strain. After your next guided breath, let the breathing now be at its own pace, a natural rhythm. Body is completely relaxed. Mind continues to quietly focus on your focus of choice. Please now allow the breathing to find that deep, even rhythm again. Bring a little movement into your fingers, your wrists, ankles and toes. You can bend your knees, roll over onto one side if you're on the floor, and gradually making your way back up to seated. Find your long spine. Drawing your hands together at your heart center one last time for this session of MIL Yoga for Healthy Aging. Pressing palms together, lifting. We'll close with one Om. Breathing in. Om. One more full inhalation, exhaling with the equanimity of yoga. Namaste.